From underlying metrics that have made him a favorite for the prestigious title to all the other players he's beaten to get to the top of all MLB betting sites, here's why Ronald Acuna Jr. deserves to be NL's MVP this season. The underlying metrics are largely in his favor, and many already have some big expectations from him. Sure, the Atlanta Braves haven't been doing all too well, with many people looking at their losses and additions to the team as disappointing. But I'm here to tell you that things are about to get better. The team's predicted to perform a lot better this season, and they're going to owe a lot of that to Ronald Acuna Jr. Back in the 2022 season, he suffered from an ACL injury, but still performed better than most players. His stats that year would have made for a career year for many other players. But by Acuna standards, it was a step down. He had an OPS of .764, the lowest of his professional career. Before the injury, his average OPS was at .925 every season. With even the disappointing season he and his team were having, he came out on top as one of the most productive players in the NLDS up against the Phillies. In one of the games, he had 3 for 5 with a walk, and for the overall series, he had a .333 hit with a .812 OPS. It was pretty awesome to see him still have a place in the 92nd percentile in hard hit percentage, with the underlying metrics largely in his favor. Unfortunately though, even all that wasn't enough to help the Braves' ranking that season, but don't you worry, the superstar from Venezuela is back to his pre-injury self. And that means that we're about to see a decent boost in production. No one can argue against the fact that when he's at his best, he's the best player in the game. And that's exactly why MLB believes that he's going to be returning to his full form this year, and will likely have an MVP caliber campaign in the upcoming season. Experts expect the superstar to be back to the 2021 version of himself, which was when he had a jaw-dropping .990 OPS, 52 RBIs, and 24 home runs. You heard that right, 24. The man's got some serious talent. According to Fangraphs, he's predicted to have 31 home runs and 34 steals, making for an impressive 5.4 WAR. That would be twice as much as what he achieved in 2022. So what else makes this guy a great contender for the MVP title this season? Honestly, Acuna Jr. is one player who truly stands out among his peers. Mostly because of his remarkable performance, game-changing abilities, and the massive impact he's had on the Atlanta Braves. Let's start with his offensive dominance. When it comes to his skills in this area of the game, Acuna has been nothing short of exceptional. He possesses a unique combination of power, speed, and hitting ability, which sets him apart from his competitors. He's consistently showcased his dynamic skills, leading the league in various statistical categories, including home runs, steals, and runs scored. His ability to impact games with his bat and base running puts immense pressure on opposing teams, making him a true game changer. Next, let's talk about consistency and versatility. Whether it's a clutch hit, a game-saving catch, or a crucial stolen base, Acuna has been a constant force for the Braves. He rarely experiences slumps and constantly demonstrates versatility in his offensive approach. Making adjustments to succeed against different pitchers and situations, he's already started the season hot, hitting a total of 11 home runs and 20 stolen bases. Damn. And none of these insane performances have gone unnoticed. He's currently +140 to +160 in line to win the NL MVP, according to several MLB betting sites. Other than that, the pure impact he's having on the game, coupled with his ability to get people truly excited, is definitely helping secure him a spot in the top favorites for the prestigious award. It also helps that his fellow players in the game have just as much confidence in his abilities. The Braves righty Spencer Strider recently talked to MLB about his thoughts on Acuna, calling him the best player he's ever seen. He added that words couldn't do justice to describe him and his abilities, and that he was just super glad that he was on their team, rather than playing against them. He's not wrong. This season, the great Acuna has hit 2 leadoff home runs, which is the 4th most in the history of baseball. He's made up for that with 8 doubles. The only other player with like 6 leadoff doubles is Mookie. Right now, Acuna's been starting the game by getting on base around 60% of the time. That's above and beyond what you'd expect from any leadoff hitter. Another Braves player, Austin Riley, sang Acuna's praise too. He talked about his performance being truly incredible and described it as one that put everyone watching at the edge of their seats, because something magical would always end up happening. But even a player as loved as Acuna hasn't been able to stay on good terms with everyone. Back in 2022, Acuna Jr. talked about some ongoing drama with a former teammate, Freddie Freeman. He was asked what he'd miss most about his teammate after Freeman signed on with the LA Dodgers when the Braves traded for Matt Olson. Acuna said that there was nothing he'd miss about the baseman. Yikes. He went on to admit that the pair had had lots of clashes in the locker room and didn't always get along. Apparently, all of that stemmed from Freeman's attitude towards him back when Acuna was a rookie. Word obviously spread and eventually reached Freeman himself. At the time, he was the latest star for the Dodgers, and he decided to address the matter right before the Dodgers' opening day. He said that he didn't think what had happened between him and Acuna was a clash, but then again, he didn't really offer much of an explanation. But what most people gathered from the interview was that there was no lingering feud between the two players, just a bit of friction from the old days. Especially after Acuna came out and said that his words had been exaggerated and that he hadn't meant to say anything bad about his former teammate. The whole thing kind of died down, so I'd imagine that Freeman is still rooting for Acuna just as much as the rest of his former team. Going back to Acuna's stats and overall performance, many of you might be wondering how he's been hitting so well leading off the game. His numbers have to be lagging the rest of the time, right? Not exactly. Sure, his numbers may not be as great in other situations, but keep in mind that he's still scoring .286, .392, .521 after the first inning. His performance has been out of this world in the first inning, and not that good for the rest of the game, but still excellent. In fact, the superstar has an actual shot at the 5th 40-40 season in all of baseball history, as well as a chance at the first 50-50 season ever. I get that that might be a long shot, but honestly, at the rate Acuna's been going, I wouldn't put anything past him. Whether you believe that or not, you've got to admit he's experiencing a real MVP caliber season, and you'd be crazy to not root for him. I mentioned MLB's predictions for this season's MVP earlier, so let's talk more about their list of top 10 potential first-time MVP winners. The list starts off with none other than, you guessed it, Ronald Acuna Jr., followed by Marcus Semien and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at numbers 2 and 3 respectively. The 25-year-old Venezuelan at the top of the list is hotter than Ember right now. And any other players have their work really cut out for them if they want to get on his level. Lots of people have actually even started predicting that Acuna won't just reach Barry Bonds and Eric Davis's milestones, the one with 30 home runs and 50 steals, but that he might just surpass it and become the first ever player to score 30 home runs and 60 steals. If that's not MVP material, I don't know what is. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's still loads of time for players to step it up in the race for the award. You've got players like Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge who are very much still in the game. Sure, it's exciting to think of a new name getting his name on there, but it may just be a bit too early to make any predictions and stick by them. The season is long, and that means there's still quite a bit of time for more heroes to be made. So there you have it. From all the other players he's beaten to get to the top of all MLB betting sites to underlying metrics that have made him a favorite for the prestigious title, those are all the reasons why Ronald Acuna Jr. deserves to be NL's MVP this season.